leaders, because sometimes the people we've been working with, they get elected and then they come to a position of power within an institution.
Et il y a à ce niveau-là la coalition avec les autres organisations dont je vous ai parlé comme opportunité tout à l'heure.
And at these levels, there's also a coalition and alliance with other organizations.
Et en ce moment, au Niger, nous avons une 60aine d'organisations, y compris les Nations Unies, la société civile, qui sont ensemble pour rejoindre cette stratégie-là au niveau des régions et au niveau national pour travailler sur les lois.
So at the moment in Niger, we have about 60 different organizations, including UN organizations and civil society organizations, that work together to take this agenda forward.
Et là, le dernier résultat qu'on vient d'avoir, il y a juste une semaine, c'est que l'Assemblée nationale a voté une loi sur le quota, une loi qui revise le quota hommes-femmes dans les instances élues et dans les nominations.
So, and the latest result that we've had just about a week ago is that our parliament has voted a law on women's reservation, quotas for women at all the elected bodies, as well as in terms of the candidatures that are being submitted.
Quelques effets et résultats. Nous avons par exemple 73% des ménages des communautés où les groupes travaillent pendant ces campagnes qui nous disent maintenant qu'ils prennent les décisions conjointes à l'intérieur des ménages au lieu que ce soit juste l'homme qui les prend.
And as far as the impact and results are concerned, today 73% of the families we've worked with say that decisions are now taken by both the man and the wife, unlike the scenario before that.
Nous avons par exemple 271 groupes de changement, les groupes tels que je viens d'en parler, qui sont en train de travailler et qui ont touché plus de 8000 personnes.
We have at the moment more than 271 change groups working that have reached out to about 8,000 people.
Nous avons l'évaluation que nous avons conduite a démontré que l'utilisation des services de santé sexuelle et reproductive au niveau de 32 villages, c'est-à-dire au niveau de tous les villages où il y a un centre de santé, on a 100% d'utilisation des services de santé par les femmes en âge de procréer.
Our study has also shown that as far as the use of reproductive and sexual health services are concerned, in all the villages where there was a health center, 100% of the women are making use of the services that it provides.
Les communes, les institutions dont je parlais tout à l'heure, on en a maintenant qui prennent des lois pour soit interdire ou rendre obligatoire certaines pratiques au niveau des communes.
And as far as local level institutions are concerned, we are seeing certain laws being passed which forbid certain practices or which make certain things compulsory within the local communities.
Et ces instances prennent de plus en plus, on en a beaucoup qui ont pris des actions dans leur plan d'action qui sont financées sur l'argent public.
And many of them have integrated actions within their action plans which are financed by the state.
Et nous pensons que ce qui est acquis comme positif, selon les études que nous avons conduites, le partenariat avec les autres organisations pour faire des coalitions et peser plus lourdement à influencer les choses au niveau des institutions.
And what we found has been really positive is that the partnership with other organizations has been very useful for us to achieve results.
Nous avons constaté aussi que le travail en amont que nous avons fait pour mettre en place le réseau des VSLA a beaucoup facilité le travail, a servi de porte d'entrée quand il s'est agi de travailler sur l'engagement des hommes qui est beaucoup plus sensible.
And we've also seen that the work that we had done prior to this program, which was the creation of the whole network of organizations for working on gender issues, that has really served for us as a door, an entry point to work in this area, which is a little more sensitive, working with men.
En perspective, nous, à partir de 2014 et pour 5 ans, nous démarrons un programme plus large qui couvre plus de régions et de personnes pour amplifier l'expérience que nous tirons de l'initiative Engaging Men.
So in 2014, we have now launched a 5-year program, which is a much wider program and which is going to cover many more regions, many more people, in order to amplify our work in the area of engagement of men.
Et ce nouveau programme, il a un gros volet, une grande composante, résilience, qui va contribuer à répondre aux attentes, aux nouvelles attentes créées par les changements au niveau des communautés.
So we also have a very big component of this program which is called resilience, and that is going to help us to answer and cater to the new expectations that are going to be created in the community as a result of the work that we've done.
Par exemple, puisque maintenant les femmes vont plus au centre de santé pour les consultations prénatales, il faut augmenter le nombre de médecins, il faut former, il faut renforcer les équipements.
So to give you an example, because more women now go and access services of prenatal health at the health centers, we need to have more doctors and train more doctors, and also we need to upgrade and improve the equipment that is available in these health centers.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim, for taking us through the work you are doing in Men Engage. We are now going to hear from the last presenter, sharing with us on Abatangamucho approach. Maybe some of you might have heard of Abatangamucho approach in Burundi. So this is an opportunity for you to hear a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Good in English. I will try to do my presentation in English. My presentation is about Abatangamucho approach. As you see, Abatangamucho is a word in Kirundi, which is means in English, those who brings light where there is darkness. In our context in Burundi, gender roles have a devastating effect on women. Our harmful culture, practices, and traditions prevent women from achieving social and economic empowerment and living a life with dignity. They have a serious effect on our women's psychological and physical health and limits her ability to contribute to the development of her family and community. Beating one's wife or using household income to buy beer are considered normal practices in our country. Households become even more impoverished as men, the sole managers of research, often waste them. Women accept this violence and many remain silent as custom dictates dictates it is this way the household is made, and the woman must accept all her husband's demands. It is in our context. In the efforts of Care Burundi to engaging men, previous efforts to help women achieve their rights have not focused on including men. It is a long time in Care Burundi we work in the empowering of men, of women, but the focus of engaging men was not considered. But in our time, we focus this area with men's efforts. We don't include men whose traditional beliefs and practices are deeply rooted in our patriarchal system. Burundi is our system is patriarchal, and lie at the heart on gender inequity. This is patriarchal is the system who sustain the inequity. Through a process of appreciative inquiry, Care Burundi accounted a few inspiring men who had made personal commitments to changing their behavior in order to improve relations with their spouse. Those men were who have women who was in our solidarity group, the VSLA strategy we use in Burundi. A journey of discovery commenced, and along the way, a commitment to encourage and support these individuals and their motivation to influence others. Those first men who manifested that they want to support women in their fight of their to have their dignity. Those are the men who named Abatangamucho. They have a social movement of Abatangamucho. Now, this is their logo. Abatangamucho with a sun. What it means to bring the light of where there is darkness. They have a network, a national network, which is recognized. Their vision is to reduce violence against women and girls and promote gender equity by challenging beliefs and practices that promote and sustain a culture of violence and discrimination against women and girls in Burundian society. They have many actions that they do in the community. This movement of change agents travel throughout their communities, inviting other women and men or the community to come, listen, share, and consider a better way of life. Through a process of appreciative inquiry and reflection, activists share personal stories of positive change and encourage other members of the community to reflect on and question their beliefs and practices that prevent women's empowerment, in particularly violence. They study other area of the life, but the focus is to prevent the violence in the domestic household. Through these discussions and the debates, others are touched and publicly commit to commence their journey of change, because they tell stories which is relative of the reality of the community where they live. This approach has some challenges. Some men fear losing their position of power in their homes and communities. That is a big problem that the Abatanga Mucho beating. Women's belief about gender relations are also undermined. They are pathways to empowerment. There are some women who don't understand the fight of dignity, of the fight against violence, because it is the culture. Women who do not believe that gender relations can improve due to deeply ingrained beliefs, changing staff attitudes and beliefs. In our staff, in the administration, in our community, there are some staff and some administrative who don't understand, who don't care about changing the attitudes, because they have it in their heads, and is the culture. And so they don't support the Abatanga Mucho actions. This approach has some successes and breakthroughs. Growing number of Abatanga Mucho couples sharing their stories in front of their peers is a way to reach out to other couples. Consider a radical action where societal norms forbidding women to speak in public, let alone in the presence of their spouse. In other time, it was difficult to see, it was impossible to see a woman take in public, take a word to speak, men sit, women up. But now it is possible. Men in particular are motivated to change because they experience positive effects on their personal relationship. The men are motivated to change because they see the gain in changing their attitude, their mind. They see their family reached. They see change on their wives, children, in the economic sector, in the sanitary sector. Sharing personal stories publicly is critical to convincing others to make changes in their lives, as these are stories that people can relate to. They sensitize in their community where they live. other success is that the network, we have a network of 2,044 abatangamuco in our country. The network of abatangamuco have a code of conduct. We work in 7 provinces in Burundi. Abatangamuco approach is a community evaluation system. If someone change and live in the community, it is easy to see if he changed, if he can be the example of the in the community. They participate in national advocacy initiatives for fighting violence. They are integrated in a national network, BIMEN, which is a network with other organizations which work to fight violence in domestic household. They have a partnership with local administration. They have this partnership because those men work to prevent violent situations, and they are very appreciated by the administration. The members of the network, the Abatangamuco, are a structure which is in very situation consultative, where there is conflict resolution. But we have some recommendation if there is some organizations who would like to use this approach. This approach have a very community expertise. Is an approach who challenges organizational culture. And this network, all of its care who sustain the activities, we are see how how they can appropriate their actions. They must do use no harm approach, and their code of conduct. It's a very good approach because he's a community-based evaluation system. In this slide, I mentioned some perception of those men. Of some, it is a man which who lives in central in Burundi, who said changing attitude and the behaviors is most important because it is the household that is the foundation for development. All of the other projects that provide tools, trainings, etc., do not result in meaningful or lasting change for household. This is not the basic for making strong relations between men and women. The future looks bright. The future looks with the Abatangamuco. Behavior change is a process, but little by little, this movement is passionate individuals which, with the support of care, is making great strides to help the women of Burundi exercise exercise their rights, and ensure families and communities live in peace and dignity. That is my end of my presentation. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you please, dear audience, join me to thank again our dear presenters for the great sharings. Can I show you, Shams, can you please help us show applause using the rainfall? Could you? I know you do. Yeah?
This is used in Rwanda.
Okay.
Workshops or trainings, and it's not the way the rain starts, just slowly.
Yeah?
So please join me. The rain, going, coming bigger.
Yes? Uh-huh. Hey! Then we give a big up to someone. Great, thank you. This is now time to hear from the audience. You've heard that there is a great job already done and being done with regard to gender equality and women's empowerment using engaging men approach. You've, however, heard that we still have a lot to do. For example, with regard to women's representation in the government, for example, in parliament. In Niger, they are at now 13%. A quiz for you. Do you know the highest? Really? Who knows the highest? Hands up, please. How much? What is the percentage? 6 something. Who can be precise on that? Except not Hild and colleagues from the East Africa. Who else can be precise on the percentage? 64. Yeah. So, yes. But let's hear from you, dear audience, your inputs, questions for clarifications, recommendations for improvements in future. I believe that colleagues are going to take your inputs into consideration. Thank you. Do we need mic to hear from the audience? Okay, yeah, it's there. So, yeah. Maybe you will ask your question, your input in English, then we have the translator with us. Respondents, but you are going to use French? Responding? Reacting? Okay, all right.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Muhammad Shafiq. I'm from Afghanistan. The presentation was very useful, all of them. I will first add what methods were we use in Afghanistan, and then I will ask a question. It will be short. We have a 12-month program through our organization called Women for Women International in Afghanistan. It's for 1 year for women empowerment. And in some of the areas, as they are very conservative and protective, and they are very religious, and we face difficulties for them to let their wives and daughters to go to our training centers, then we have our men's engagement program for them to change their mentalities and attitudes toward their female family members. And we work with them directly and indirectly. Directly, we work with all of the male participants of our program, and also with community leaders, and also with religious leaders. We believe that when you work in communities, you need to keep in mind the code of conduct of the communities and also the cultural norms that they have in each communities. So we work with them to religious scholars, because in Afghanistan even most of the religious scholars are uneducated because they know the holy book with the Arabic transcript, but they don't know the meaning and the definition of the holy book. So we have a curriculum.